This is National Native News. I'm Antonia Gonzalez. A federal judge Wednesday invalidated a key permit for the Keystone XL pipeline. Judge Brian Morris says a permit issued by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers bypassed necessary environmental reviews. The order says TC Energy, formerly TransCanada, cannot build across waterways along the pipeline route until the Corps does more work on the permit. Victoria Wicks has this report.
Doug Hayes is an attorney for the Sierra Club, one of 6 environmental agencies that sued the Corps of Engineers. Hayes says the Corps used a streamlined approval process called Nationwide Permit Number 12 that precludes public review and circumvents transparent approval processes.
The pipeline would cross approximately 688 different waterways, river streams, and wetlands across Montana, South Dakota, and Nebraska. And the Army Corps of Engineers is the agency that approves those crossings.
In the order, the federal court notes that the expedited permit is used when a project will result in minimal damage to aquatic environments. Judge Morris also notes that the Corps failed to consult with U.S. Fish and Wildlife or National Marine Fisheries before determining that pipeline construction would have no effect on endangered species or critical habitat. Hayes says the Corps has to do further environmental review and consultation under the Endangered Species Act before it can reissue the permit.
TC Energy cannot build through any of the waterways along the pipeline route until it revamps its approval process.
In 2 related cases, tribes and environmentalists have challenged permits for the 1.2 miles of pipeline that crosses the border between Montana and Alberta. TC Energy has started pre-construction on that segment. For National Native News, I'm Victoria Wicks in Rapid City, South Dakota.
Judge Morris is hearing arguments in those 2 related challenges to the Keystone XL pipeline Thursday. He'll issue an order in those cases at a later date. Many tribal leaders are calling for Alaska Native Corporations, or ANCs, to be excluded from funding set aside for tribes in the CARES Act. Wyoming Public Radio's Savannah Marr reports.
Gerald Gray is chairman of the Little Shell Tribe of Chippewa and the Rocky Mountain Tribal Leadership Council. He says ANC's corporation status should preclude them from accessing the $8 billion Tribal Stabilization Fund.
The Alaska Native Corporation should not be getting any of the funding because they're not tribes. And we just basically don't feel that, it's a good idea to be doing that.
This week, the Rocky Mountain Tribal Leadership Council urged the U.S. Treasury Department to exclude ANCs from the emergency funding. The Great Plains Tribal Chairman Association went a step farther, calling for the removal of Tara Sweeney as Assistant Secretary of Indian Affairs. They say since she once worked for an ANC, there's a conflict of interest at play. But Shauna Hegna, president of the Koniag Regional Corporation, says Sweeney is simply following the law.
Simply put, Alaska Native corporations are eligible for funding under the CARES Act because we're included in the law. And we're going to use the funding from the CARES Act to help our communities prepare and respond to COVID-19.
Tribes and ANCs have until Friday to apply for their slice of the Tribal Stabilization Fund. It's not yet clear how the money will be divided up. For National Native News, I'm Savannah Marr.
Oglala Sioux Tribal Police have verbally warned or issued citations to more than 150 people on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota for violating curfew or shelter-in-place orders. The tribe's currently on a 14-day lockdown due to a public health response to COVID-19. I'm Antonia Gonzalez.
National Native News is produced by Kawanak Broadcast Corporation with funding by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Support by the American Indian Higher Education Consortium, working to ensure tribal colleges and universities are included in our higher education system. Info on 37 tribal colleges and universities at aihec.org. Support by AARP CommunityConnections.org that connects you to help in your community and enables you to join or organize your own online mutual aid group, share ideas, and help your family, neighbors, and those most affected by COVID-19.
Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.